there, my name is Julie Fei-Fan Balzer, and today I'm going to get crafty with my friend Jen Mason. We're going to show you how to make a screen which you can decorate anything at all with. So my friend Jen asked her daughter Abby to write out her name, and this is what she wrote out. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to slip it right into my scanning mat. This is a mat that is not sticky at all in any way, so it's easy enough to put copy paper right in there. And then I'm going to go ahead, open my dust cover, holding my mat right up front. I'm going to double bump it in there. I'm going to press the load button. Now we're going to go ahead and scan it in. And ScanNCut data, press the start button, and the machine is going to take it in and scan that handwriting. Once it appears on the screen, I'm ready to choose the type of scan that I want. And I want to choose the second option where it scans on both sides of the line, like that. I'm going to go ahead and drag in the red arrow so it doesn't catch, for instance, the bottom of the page. The other thing is I can see that it's not really capturing the dot on the eye. So how I can adjust that or address it is if I click on this little slider and go ahead and choose delete size. Now I'm going to delete the little area around there that the machine is giving it, the margin for error, and that's so it doesn't pick up stray dust and stuff, but that's not dust, that's actually something I want. And if I zoom in, you can see now it's caught everything perfectly. So once that's good, I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. When everything's OK, you hit OK, and then I'm going to save it, and I have the choice of saving it either into the machine or to USB, and I'm going to save it right into the machine. It's going to tell me exactly what it's saving it as, number 46. Thank you very much. So I'm ready to go home. Hit OK to delete all patterns, and I'm ready to choose my pattern. Now, I know that we saved it, so it must be under Save Data, and I know that we saved it into the machine, so I'm going to go ahead and choose that machine button, and then I can scroll through what I have until I come across it. There it is, right there, Abby. I'm going to say OK. Now, this is actually made up of several little parts right now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the Editing panel, and I'm going to select all, which is right there, hit OK. I'm going to unify it, which is this red box around the two shapes. It's going to ask me if it's okay to do this, and I'm going to say absolutely, that's what I want. So I'm going to hit OK right there, and now this is unified, and I can move the entire thing, resize the whole thing, rotate it however I want. But the next thing I have to do is I need to load the material that we're cutting into the machine and scan it so that I can perfectly place this. So with all of the heat transfer material, you want to cut it face side down with the adhesive side up and the transfer sheet down. Now that doesn't make any sense, especially looking at this silver piece. It's very hard to tell because it's silver on both sides. So I have this piece of colored just to make it a little easier to understand, right? That this side that is up, this is the colored side, but there also happens to be, if I could peel away right here, which if I've got a sharp enough nail, I will. And if I don't have a sharp enough nail, then you'll have to just believe me and trust me, which is a much harder endeavor, I understand. But if I can, maybe, come on, we can do it. Yes, we can. There we go. Okay, so you can see, okay, that actually this is just a clear transfer sheet. It's sticky, okay? And what I want is I want to only cut through this heat transfer material. So to do that, I need it to be down, meaning the transfer sheet down against it, and the heat material to be up. So anything you cut, you want to be backwards, except of course for what we're cutting because we want it to be frontwards, but I'll explain that in a minute. So again, I'm putting the shiny, or the side that has the transfer sheet, down, and I'm going to go ahead and just push that onto my mat, put it on there. I'm going to open my dust cover. I'm going to go ahead and load this in. So now I'm ready to scan this in to make sure that I can place that Abby perfectly in the center of my heat applied material. Okay, so you can see that I accidentally actually have placed this Abby perfectly in here, but if it had been somewhere else, it's easy enough for me to just drag it where it needs to be. Before we cut this, I want to make two different notes. The first note is that it's really important that anything you do, you want to be backwards in the case of this, and because we cut the heat applied material upside down, having it forwards is actually correct. I'll explain that a little bit more once it comes out, but I just wanted to be clear about that, okay? With text and the direction in which you want it to go. Okay, so now that I'm ready to do this, I'm gonna go ahead and hit OK. I'm going to hit cut, and because I've already done a test cut on this, I know all my blade settings, but if you haven't, please go ahead and do a test cut. Press the start button when it lights up, and we are cutting. Once it's done cutting, I'm gonna go ahead and unload the mat, close my dust cover, and peel it off. Now the next step in this process is something that is called weeding. And by the way, notice, because again, I calibrated this to only cut out the heat apply material and not the other part, there's nothing left on the mat, right? That's good, that's what I want. So weeding is when you take out the part that you don't want. And the part that I don't want is actually the scripty part, actual writing that she did. So it's always hardest to get it started. You just got to get a fingernail under there. So you got to just find a point, just keep bending, increasing it. You can't really hurt it until you find that place. You could also use tweezers, are a little bit easier if you don't have fingernails. Ah, I got it. And again, notice, can you see how that, if I can get it to catch the light, can you see how that is still a solid transfer sheet there, and I'm just weeding out the part that I don't want. Now, what is the advantage of this transfer sheet? I know I keep talking about it and talking about it, and you're wondering, Julie, what are you just talking and talking about? Well, you guys, I would love to tell you. What I am talking about is that unlike a stencil where you would lose this entire part, or even if you didn't have a transfer sheet and you cut this out, this is going to allow you to, in a very stiff way, take this over and have the insides of these letters perfectly placed exactly where you want them. So that's the benefit of having that attached transfer sheet. Now I'm trying to be careful because I'd like to be able to keep this word, but if you're not being careful, then you can just go ahead and rip it out caveman style. And if it rips in half, who cares? But I'm trying to be delicate, which is not my normal type of behavior. So I've gotten that out, but don't forget we did dot that I and spend some time trying to get that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and peel that out. And now you can see I have the word Abby here, and I'm ready to hand this project on over to Jen.
Now that we have the name cut out of our holographic transfer material, which is holographic, but doesn't have to be, but that's what we're using today to use up a scrap. That's all cut. So now we're ready to make our screen. We have this sort of the dull side up, the other side is sparkly, and we are going to put a piece of sheer over this. This is any inexpensive drapery sheer. And now we're going to iron it. And because it has a little adhesive on it, we're going to cover that up with a pressing cloth, which is just a spare piece of cloth. I have my iron on hot. I am pressing hard for about 25 to 30 seconds. And we're going to do this one more time. We're going to flip it over and do it on the other side just so it's very secure. And we're going to see, and that pulls back a little bit because there's just a tiny little bit of adhesive because this is on that drapery sheer which has little holes. Normally you'd be doing this on a t-shirt, you'd be transferring something on there and you'd really want it to stick. So that's one of the good reasons to use our pressing cloth. Again, I'm going to go over this for 25 to 30 seconds more. And then we have our piece ready for screen printing. Now we just have a few more steps on our piece of heat transfer material and then we're ready to print. So because neatness counts sometimes, and today I feel like letting it count, I'm just going to trim off the edge of the sheer around my piece. And then I'm going to do one more thing, which is not essential, but I like to do it, and that is to tape around the edges. But before I do that, this heat transfer material has a removable backing, and that's what turns it into a screen. So we just want to pull that extra sheet off, and now I have a printing screen, a sparkly printing screen. So now I can actually see through that that organza or draper material, whatever you decided to use. Now to make it a little stiffer and to give myself a little bit of extra space for printing, I'm just going to tape a little bit of heavy duty tape. Any kind of packing tape you have will work. It does not matter. It does not have to have a pattern on it. You can use gray stuff, black stuff, whatever you've got handy. And just doing this around the edge gives me a little bit of a border, a little bit more room so my paint, when I'm printing, doesn't get on the surface on the outside edges, because we want this to be nice. All right, my last piece, always the most difficult piece, is the last one. All right, so now I have my screen all ready, and today I want to print this onto a pencil case. Now, you can print this onto a piece of paper, in an art journal, on a canvas, on a t-shirt, anything you want. I have a pencil case today. And because I don't want to bleed through, and anything you print on, you want to probably put something between it and another layer. So in a t-shirt, you'd put it between the front and back of a t-shirt. I just used a piece of inexpensive cardboard that came in a piece of packaging. You could even use like a cereal box, no problem. So I have put that in here. So now when I print, it's not going to bleed through and ruin it. And then I have to decide where exactly I want to put Abby's name. And I could put it on this side or I could put it on this side, but I think I'm going to run into maybe a little problem. I could have a struggle around the zipper and the sort of seam allowance in the zipper. So I'm going to do it this way. And nicely, because I put that cardboard in there, I also am not going to hit that bump there. And I just need to place this where I want it. I don't want it too near the edge because there's a little seam allowance in there too, and I'd hit that bump and there would probably be a skip in my printmaking. And a little hint, when you're doing something like this, if you can think of, sometimes you don't get the paint just right, and you need to do another one. If you can think about a way, like I could really layer this over and over and over and actually use her name as a decorative sort of treatment, so that, you know, there's always opportunities to fix mistakes. But this is a pretty forgiving little fun project. So you don't have to worry too much about it, but I don't ever do a print and have a bad print and say, that's it, it's gone, it's done. I just kind of think of new ideas for making it fantastic. So I have put a little bit of screen printing ink. You can use any thick, heavy body paint. You want thick paint because thin paint will bleed underneath. Because this is drapery fabric I'm not using real screen printing fabric. It's not as tightly woven as it would be but it's perfect for what we're doing today. I'm using a little hotel card. You could use an expired, already used up gift card, something heavy like this. And I want to hold it at like a 45-degree angle, but I want to be pushing down as I drag across. The harder I push down, the less likely I'm going to get bleeding underneath. So here goes. If I had a drum roll, I would totally do that here. And I want to make sure, by the way, that my little ink paint goes further than my picture. Hopefully we can do this all in one pass. All right, I'm pushing down, holding it at a 45-degree angle, and I'm dragging across. And you can see I have a little tiny place there that I missed. I am just going to sort of hit that spot really quickly. All right, fingers crossed. Let's see how Abby looks. Oh, it's fantastic. So now I have a birthday present and I'm really excited, and I also have a screen I'm going to wipe off with some baby wipes, and I can use this over and over again. She's going to be tired of seeing her name. I like to use this so much.
Thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll visit my blog at balzerdesigns.typepad.com for more tips, tricks, and tutorials. And of course, be sure to visit the ScanNCut website at scanncut.com.